Hello folks, on the 16th of February 2022, Trinidad experienced a blackout, and you can see in this footage, no traffic lights are working. The blackout took place around 12:52 p.m. on the 16th. And this is another traffic light not working. People are managing. In this sort of road trip, I'm going to ramble a bit about what happens during a blackout in Trinidad, and just some thoughts that it would be nice to have a discussion with you on my YouTube channel in the comments area. This is another intersection on the highway, Martin Highway. Here in St. James, again, same issue, traffic lights not working, lots of traffic. When electricity goes out, everybody just seems to go in a sort of panic mode. And as we know, crazy driving in Trinidad is like a pastime. And as you can see here, everybody decides to go to the intersection all at once, making it like a gridlock. Now this blackout, and by the way, a blackout is interruption in an electrical power supply in a certain area. In this case, the entire country, and when I say entire country, Trinidad, Tobago wasn't affected, as far as I understand. The irony in this is that a few days ago I created a video about TNTech, and that's going to be released sometime in the future, but I had created it in advance and was actually praising some of the work of TNTech. So when that comes out, I know you'll try to reflect on this blackout, but really the two things are not the same. Anyway, you can see the immense amount of traffic. We are here in, I believe this is Marval Road, St. Clair, and even though this looks like a lot, it was nothing compared to people who left work early and started to head east and back to south. Those places had lots and lots of traffic. So what happened? And by the way, this is nighttime, and it looks dark because it is dark. There are no street lights. You may get a light here and there, and I'm fast forwarding it till we get to certain populous areas. Right now this is the Martin Highway, and to me it's really scary to reach these intersections on the highway. I just try to keep left as much as possible, and you see how everybody's just driving really fast considering the blackout. Something I just don't get at nighttime, but as I always say, at nighttime is when the crazies come out. We're now entering St. James, and I'll slow it down here a bit so you can get an idea of what St. James looks like during a blackout. If it wasn't for the cars, the vehicles with their lights, their headlights on, everything would be pitch black. So, as I was saying, on the 16th of February 2022, around 12:52 p.m., electricity went out, and along with electricity, phones, there were no phone signals, there was no internet, so there was a communication dam, if you want to call it that, for that period of time when lights went out till it was restored. Now, lights wasn't restored for some areas until up to 1 a.m. the next day. Some places like Central and South, I believe, got theirs earlier, like 9 p.m. the same day. For me, we didn't get ours until around 11 p.m. Now, as far as I understand, and I'm not an engineer with TNTech or anything like that, but from what I understand, TNTech's job is just to supply the country with a connection to electrical power that comes from power stations. Those power stations being Power Gen and Trinity. I believe the biggest power station is in Point Lisas. Now, we used to have a big power station in the north in Port of Spain, but that was moved. I think that was moved in the 90s. And ever since then, everything has been located more or less in Point Lisas and other remote areas, or when I say remote, they're removed from near the capital. But some people wonder if that doesn't put the north in a difficult position, because now we are counting on places that are far removed from the capital. Now, if you notice any footage that I've showed you so far, you can't find any police around. Huh? They were saying that police was out on in its full force, but in the areas that I am driving this video, except for when I reach Port of Spain, you don't really see any police. And in those intersections during the day, on the highway, in my opinion, there should have been at least one or two police officers there directing traffic, because that could have caused a serious um, problem with accidents, people being hit or whatever. But from what I understand, there were other issues where people were trying to take advantage of the situation, so probably they had to concentrate their forces there, as well as there's a shortage of officers because of the pandemic. So this is like a double whammy. So you may be, so we're now leaving St. James. I'm gonna continue heading into Port of Spain so you can see what it's like. You may see a little light here and there. Some people have generators, most don't, and most people decide to close it because of no electricity. But what most Trinis do when there's no power, they really do activate. It's like everybody was busy on the roads, but busy going where? Because I don't know. I went out personally just to drive around and get footage for you guys, but I don't know what everybody else was really doing or where they were going to. However, I might give you some clues when we get into Port of Spain. So you can see some of the buildings are lit. By the way, thieves tend to target vaults when there's a blackout, I notice. There were a lot of reports of thieves attacking ATM vaults, vaults for banks, for other institutions, and so forth. Some were successful in doing that, others not. Now, I believe we are going to down. What street is this? Not sure if it is Richmond or Edward. But we're passing by the Ministry of Legal Affairs. That's that lit building in the middle. And from here you will start to get a bit of light, but not all of the light. So anyway, some criminals decided to take advantage. It even had some, as I heard in some reports, teens breaking into a building, and a security guard, I believe, caught them and shot one dead. Then I believe some broke into stores. One broke into a shoe store, and when the police was patrolling and saw the broken glass, they went in and caught one of the thieves hiding. A lot of these things remind me of the coup. When the coup happened in 1990, there was a lot of chaos, and people started to loot, rob, steal. I mean, in the time when you would think they would try to be on their best behavior, it was their worst. Now here in Port of Spain, you will start to see a lot of police because of what I was just telling you. People trying to take advantage of the situation by breaking in stores and whatnot. There's a bit of light here too from some of the buildings, some of the banks, but still not a lot. Can't remember all my Port of Spain street names. I think that's Observatory. And now we're coming to Independence Square. On the left there would be Frederick Street. And those police lights, vehicle lights, are very bright. I'm gonna pass Henry and turn right on Charlotte so you get a overview of what it's like. And I'm glad to see that the camera was able to pick up the moon in the background. What a brilliant moon that was. Full moon too. So as you gather, one of the things Trinis do when there's a blackout, they go on the streets, start talking, start liming. We are in the Caribbean, so homes can be kind of hot. And it was not a particularly breezy or windy day. But I'm going to show you one other thing that Trinis do when there's a blackout. Any excuse to do it, I think. I try to get my truck just right there so you could see. See those people gathered there? That's actually a line to get into that establishment. And it's going from outside all the way to going inside. One of the very few places that remain open, not all of them, but some of them, I guess they have generators or whatever, and they chose to remain open. And because they chose to remain open, they just got all the sales of people because basically every other food place, Chinese, Subway, whatever, they're all closed down. Even some of those ladies that come out to sell roti in St. James, they started out selling in the beginning, but I guess they saw they weren't getting sales and they closed up when they went home. But we're gonna check out Arapita Avenue, which has turned itself into like a little St. James of sorts. Those of you who know Arapita Avenue in Woodbrook would know it was a quiet residential area. I shouldn't say it's so quiet because I mean it is near the city center, but it was still a residential area mostly. And Arapita Avenue had just a few business places, but it's not like that anymore. Almost every street, and of course Arapita Avenue itself, all of it has businesses being run basically day and night sometimes. Lots of restaurants on the avenue and on all these streets and arteries as well. So it's a pretty busy place. And we're gonna go there now to check to see if there's any activity in this darkness. Now, while we're on the way there, there's a couple of thoughts I have about the way the world is counting so much on electrical power and being wireless. Back to the coup again in 1990. When it happened, when I saw it on the TV, these terrorists took over the TV station. The first thing I did was to use my landline, which is a phone that is connected by a wire and it runs through the poles. I used that to call other people I knew and I was able to get through. You'll note in this situation, you'll notice that that didn't happen because once those wireless stations, those mobile service networks, when their stations go down, you don't get any signal because those power stations count so heavily on electrical power. The good thing about landlines is they run on their own electrical system. So if there's something that goes down, it's not doesn't they don't have to count on an electricity company for the landlines to work. That's something you don't have when you have mobiles. Even as an example, on my home network, I still don't use wireless. I use RJ45 cables and I run my network on those cables. I could count on cables. I can't count on wireless. And wireless, has security issues. People can snoop, try to get in and whatnot. But people just seem to be so hooked on wireless. So we're on Arapita Avenue and it's quite dark here. You can only see the lights of the vehicles actually. Hardly anything else. There are a lot of restaurants on the left and none of them are open. Maybe one or two. But as we get closer to like Murray Street, we'll start to see activity. And if you have seen my other crazy driving videos, you will know that right here on Arapita Avenue there's always accidents, huh? So this is a dangerous time, if you want to call it that, to be driving here. If in daylight they could be crashing into each other, just imagine during a blackout. Anyway, as you see here, there are a lot of vehicles, and I don't know if you can tell, but there are a lot of people lined up on the left to get doubles and gyros. I believe this one is doubles, and the next one coming up is gyros. By the way, I don't know how many of you remember, but well, at least when I was a teen, roti has always been the great fast food locally. Then doubles came out and whatnot. But then at some period of time, the country was introduced to gyros. And when gyros came out, that became like a novelty. People love to go and get a gyros. It was about $5 for one. And it was almost, and I say almost, a competition for other fast food like people who eat meat like chicken and chips and a roti. But anyway, when you went to buy a gyro, it was big enough and filling enough that you could buy one and feel satisfied. But now the gyros that they sell, I don't even know if I could call that a snack. It's really small. I mean, like 4 inches. And the circumference, well, I don't even know what that is. You could probably put a 5 cents piece and it might be just overlapping. But they want so much money for it as well. And what it is, I think like a pita bread and just a few vegetables and that's it. I mean, wow. A gyro, by the way, can be from $35 TT and up. Talking about something like 5 US around there. By the way, I don't know if you're picking it up or if you can see, but it's amazing the amount of people want to walk on the street while there's a blackout. And they choose to wear really dark colors too, so you could hardly see them. I mean, some of this scenery here, I am kind of straining my eyes to make sure I don't hit somebody deciding to just cross the road at some odd time. And I actually had to try and push the gamma in this video up so you could actually just see the outline of anything, because really it is dark enough that you really can't see anything unless there's lights from the vehicles or lights on buildings with generators. Whoa, you see how that vehicle just pulled out there? No indicator, nothing. Going back through St. James. By the way, there's a gas station. I don't know if they call it the Peaks gas station or not, but it's right next to Peaks, and there was a traffic jam going from the Peaks gas station all the way back to Rising Road by Movie Town to get into that gas station where everybody decided they needed fuel during this blackout. Because most gas stations count on the regular electrical output from TNTech in order to power their gas stations. But it seems like One Peaks had their generators sorted, so they were able to stay open and serve the people fuel. And everybody went there. Generally, I always try to keep my fuel above half. Not only for instances when things like this happen, but just to avoid fuel injection pump issues. Sometimes I will turn on my bright lights just to see these people passing by. Because sometimes you just walk in front here, they're wearing dark clothing, so you don't see them. Now this just lasted for half a day, but it had such an impact on the country that people are still talking about it and wondering what's going to be done so it doesn't happen again. Up to now, we haven't been given a full report. All we know is that the power stations supposed to have a mechanism that, I guess, when one goes out, the other will kick in or something like that, vice versa. But that mechanism, whatever it is, I guess, which acts like those backup supplies that you have on your computer. When current goes, it keeps your computer on, so you have time to save your work and turn off the computer properly. Well, whatever mechanism is supposed to act like that, it just didn't fire up. And so when the outage happened, they tried to implement or start or whatever the process to power the grid back, but it just didn't happen. And everything just went out flat. We're going over the Cocorit flyover. I don't know if you can. That's that light on the left that we just passed. That's the Peaks gas station. Let's go and check the west now and see if there's any activity there. Again, as you can see, real people on the road, huh? Despite it being a blackout. People just, I guess, can't stay home. Me being one of them, huh? We're passing underneath the Cocorite walkover. Now you can see some lights in the distance there hovering above the vehicles. That's, I believe, Goodwood Park. There were some houses up there that I guess had their generators sorted. That's Massey Stores on the left and West Mall, which also had the lights on. And again, that outlet that everybody in Trinidad just is so thirsty for. On the left was on, and then Super Farm was fully lit. The one in Diego Martin was also fully lit. I don't know if the ones in the other areas were, but it was good to see that Super Farm had measures in place where they were able to stay on, carry their full stores, services, and products being sold. You know, if you need medicine or whatever, with bright lights all during a blackout. It was like almost like you're going to heaven with this bright light on.